City of Mississauga has done very, very well for the investors in the past years. And now more than ever, this is the best place to invest in at the moment. City has invested millions of dollars in the public transportation and the new infrastructure. Just behind me is the new Cooksville GO stations being completed. From here, you can get to downtown Union Station in 30 minutes. And not too far from here, walking distance, the new project coming up by the name Artform Condominiums. Steps away from the new LRT and the BRT. At Ontario and Dundas, right here, there's a new LRT station being built. On Ontario, 18 kilometers of LRT being built, going from Port Credit all the way till Brampton. 250 meters away from here is the new Artform Condominiums coming up to the east of here. One of the 17-story boutique building is being built right here. Emblem Development has acquired land in this neighborhood, and they will be uplifting this neighborhood with few new condominiums that are in the pipeline coming up. Artform is one of the first of the projects that's being built here in a master plan community. Thank you for having us here today. We're super excited. First of all, congratulations on your new project, Artform Condominiums, that's coming up in Mississauga. We're super excited about it, and I'm sure you're very excited about it.
Yes.
But before we go into Artform Condominiums, let's start with Emblem, or the builder story. And
Yes.
especially I'm interested in your story, particularly as a person. You have done quite well in the financial industry and investment firm as well.
Thank
So if you can shed some light on that, please.
Sure, yeah. So I come from a background, a Bay Street background, investment management background. So we've been managing the investment portfolios of high net worth families over the last 20 years. Mm-hmm. And really that's over that period of time, we've found a lot of success in delivering on what we say we're going to deliver for those families. That involves managing risk mm-hmm. with the assets that they've trusted us to manage. And equally important is identifying opportunity. So the firm today manages in excess of $1 billion in liquid assets. Mm-hmm. It's very much a boutique firm, so we haven't sold to a larger institution. And that kind of capital, combined with the entrepreneurial agility that we have, has really allowed us to continue to be successful. But I think where the investment management background meets real estate is, as I was saying, over the 20 years, we've gained a lot of expertise and experience in managing risk and identifying opportunity. Mm-hmm. And with real estate, it's really no different than the stock market in the sense that they're both investments. They
right.
both require a deep understanding of the risks that you're taking on and having a strategy to manage those risks.
Right.
And they both involve the ability to be able to identify opportunity. And identifying opportunity is being able to see something before the masses see it, right? Because by the time the masses see it, then that appreciation has already taken place.
Right.
And identifying opportunity, when you're looking at investing in a stock or in a company, is again a function of doing your due diligence, doing your deep dive, understanding the risks, and concluding that there's opportunity there, and right. Moving on or investing in a company before the masses do. For us, real estate is very similar. In the acquisition of land, for example, it's very similar. It's a function of doing your due diligence and looking at that site specifically and being able to acquire it and start the development before the masses do.
Right. And I think, Jenny, you probably, like Kash said, that it's seeing it before the masses see it. And you've done it over and over many years. Thousands of condominiums that you have sold under your belt. So you probably can put a little bit of your words in it to see like how the real estate market in Toronto has changed over the years, going back 20 years, compared to now. Where the downtown used to be. A lot of people, for example, didn't want to go to King West at one time. There was nothing there.
Yeah.
And you had sold during those times.
That's right. I mean, I started this in 2003, actually, and King and Spadina used to be parking lots everywhere.
Right.
And I myself, I mean, my first project was at the Hudson by Great Gulf, it's called.
Right.
Yes, and you can buy a one-bedroom plus den with 2 bathrooms, 760 square feet,
Right.
for $235,000.
Right.
Yeah.
And everyone was just like, "Wow, why are you buying a condo? You could buy a house for that price."
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
came home and told my mom I bought my condo. I was in my 20s, and my mom's like, "Are you crazy? Why are you buying it?" I'm like, "I'm feeling it. I'm feeling
Yes.
it's coming.
Yeah.
Even though nothing going on right now, but it's going to appreciate." And then the condo was done in 3 years, and one of my friend came and said, "I want to buy it from you." And I'm like, "I'm living in it. What are you
Right.
doing?" But because I'm making money, I said, "Sure." And then I keep buying more and more in
More and
that
more.
street, and it was $325 per square foot. And today, that same unit it's going for $1,400 per square
$1,400
foot
a
in that
foot?
neighborhood.
Yeah.
So that same condo is now sitting at like 1.5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
it's
and it's
phenomenal.
the same thing, like today you go to King Street, it's so different, it's so vibrant, it's so alive, and you have transportation right there, and you have also all these condominium that's coming up, and it's
Right.
already developed and commercial, and
Yeah.
even the LCBO.
Right.
So, I mean, Cooksville, if you look at it.
So yeah, coming to Cooksville and coming to
Yeah.
Artform Condominium. So you've picked that particular location. In my opinion, one of the best locations right now. I think you had mentioned it before, that it's south of Square One. It's not Square One area.
That's right.
And it's where there is more potential to grow. I want you to please, if you can shed some light on the location from your point of view.
Yeah. For us, Cooksville is very opportunistic from an
Mhm.
investment perspective for a few reasons. The first is that it is a few hundred meters away from the Cooksville Mobility Hub. And the Mobility Hub is not your average bus station, as you know. The city has committed to and already started to investing over $100 million in infrastructure in that Mobility Hub.
Right.
What does that mean? That means from your unit at Artform, within a short walk, you're able to access the LRT, the BRT, the GO train, quick commute at Kipling Station to get the subway.
Right.
So you have access to all major forms of public transit. And again, history tells us that that's a very important factor for price appreciation
No doubt.
and also just for usability, right? Lifestyle.
Right.
So the Cooksville Mobility Hub is within a few hundred meters. That's very important. We talked about Square One being very close.
Right.
The fact that this site is right in the middle of a master plan community is also very important because
Right.
as we both know, history tells us that master plan communities tend to do very well from an investment perspective because every building that goes up after the one you purchase in, the prices go higher and higher
Higher.
and higher. And the timing is optimal with Artform because buyers are getting in at a ground level before 4, 5, 6, 10 buildings have been built. And
That's
that's
correct.
very important.
That's correct.
And then the last factor is education. History tells us that if you're close to major education hubs, it becomes very appealing from an investment perspective.
doubt.
So we have University of Toronto, Mississauga campus about 15 minutes away. You have Sheridan College about 15 minutes away. So to us, this site there was no compromise.
More importantly, I think for Mississauga, that Cooksville neighborhood particularly, Mississauga is kind of a market where you have a lot of investors, but a lot of them are end users, people that like to call Mississauga home. They've been
Yes.
living there, their families have been living there, they moved there, and all of that. Let's get into Artform condominiums, a little bit more into details. As far as I understood, your building is 17 stories. But you had a permit for 26 stories or 20 stories?
Yeah, so when we acquired the site, 26 stories is what was slated to go on to this piece of land.
Right.
And what we did was we sat down with the city and spent a lot of time with them to understand what their vision of the new Cooksville would be. And part of that is because, and this is part of the appeal of this site, is that it's right in the middle of a master plan community.
Mhm.
So we understand that there's going to be quite a bit of development that takes place there in the coming years.
Right.
And given that Artform is really the first major development in the area, the fact is that we are very influential in the tone that we set for the new community that's being established.
Right.
So we wanted to understand what the city had in mind. And they shared with us the view that they really did not want Cooksville to have a glass box high-rise feel. They wanted it to have more of a quaint, more of a sense of community that's sometimes lost when it's a high-rise. And so even though we were not obligated to, we took that input and we thought about what we wanted to achieve there as well. And we designed a building that's considerably shorter in length, 17 stories. But what we achieved the outcome that we set out to, which was to create a boutique building.
That's amazing what you can get. Now going back to Artform as well, so the amenities are about 1,700 somewhat square feet. And it's a 17-story building. All the downtown condos or any other condo, which you're looking at a 40, 50-story building, that's the type of kind of amenity, even in those condos, you don't expect.
Yeah.
In a 17-story building, you're able to accommodate that. Why, first of all, and how?
Yeah. So let me tell you, with every facet of this building, we obsessed with the design and really the execution, the finishes, including the amenities. So when we started out with the amenity space, what we looked at was how do we replicate living in a home as much as possible in a condominium? And you know, the fact is, this was well before COVID. You know, we did not know, you know, how much COVID would make condominium owners want to be able to get some fresh air and have access to the outdoors. But that's how we approach design with this project. So what's interesting is every single homeowner at Artform will have their own private balcony or private terrace.
So every single unit has a balcony.
Every unit does. And then as we're talking about outdoor space and we talk about the amenities, so at Artform there's 17,500 square feet of amenities approximately. And what's important about that number is that you're sharing it with 17 stories, not 35 or 45 or 50. And so what that results in is the fact that as a homeowner, you're able to enjoy those amenities more often.
Right.
Because you have less folks that are in the building.
Right. Right.
And so we started with the design and how much square footage of amenity space we wanted, how much of it indoors, how much of it outdoors. And then as we were doing that, we were spending time understanding what amenities do people actually use. You know, because there's a lot of amenities that on a rendering look beautiful,
Right.
but no one uses them.
Right.
And the problem is those amenities are reflected in your condominium fees. So again, it goes back to our background in finance
Right.
and spreadsheets and numbers. We're very focused on designing an efficient building for the end user. So a building like this, we intentionally chose to not put a swimming pool in it.
Right.
Why I say there's no product like this available in Mississauga is because there's the location, there's the commitment to design, there's the quality of finishes, and there's the price that we've been able to bring this to market at. So the introductory pricing on this project will rival anything else that's on the market, but with much higher standard of finishes and a superior location. So our introductory pricing is going to be very compelling. I think that pricing is one part of the consideration. What's equally important, in fact, I think it's actually even more important than price, is the deposit structure, right? And a testament to how well capitalized Emblem is, we're able to bring forth a very flexible deposit structure, which will be 5% per year.
Okay.
So first-time home buyers or experienced home buyers or investors are going to be able to acquire a unit within the Artform building with less capital down in a short period of time than many other projects.
So it's a 20% deposit, 5%.
Per year, so it's 5% to down 20, 5% 21, and then 5% to down 22, and then 5% on occupancy. Occupancy is, it's going to be tentatively spring 2024.
24. So that's a very flexible, very, very good deposit that you were not able to find anywhere, and thanks to, I mean, Shelby, Yeah.
Emblem.
Thanks to Emblem, that they're able to give that flexible deposit. So that makes it, I can clearly see a tug of war going between end users and investors. End users would want to be here because of the location and also because of the quality the builder is providing. And and the investors is the location in real estate, and that's what's selling here. I'm going to come back to the location again, and just to touch a little bit more details on this point of the LRT coming there, being built now. It's under construction. That's 18 right. Kilometers of that being under construction, which is like a streetcar that we see in downtown that's being brought to Mississauga. And it's, if I'm not wrong, 250 meters or 300 meters away? 300 meters away. That, from an investor point of view, and you had mentioned this before, anywhere pretty much in the world that you go, if there's school, there's public transportation, or if there's water, these three properties would always appreciate in value. And here we at least have two, that's for sure, which is the schools and the LRT. Yeah. So if you can just give a little bit more background on properties that are close to schools and public transportation and how they have appreciated in the past.
Well, if you look at, Pace Condos, for instance,
right.
This is at Jarvis and Dundas.
Yes.
We launched that in 2009, and it was around $500 per square foot. And I remember everyone was saying, this is an awful location. And,
yes.
It's dangerous here, and this is just not the right place to be. But its proximity to Ryerson University, University of Toronto, and then today, those units are going for $1,100–1,200 per square foot.
Easily.
And then same thing with Bay Street, right? If you look at Bay and Bloor, for instance, that location, and even Jarvis and Bloor, where if you go on Charles, a one-way street, they have those high-rise building that's there, and I was selling it in 2006, and I couldn't even get people to buy them because everyone was just saying that there's nothing going on here and it's too far away from, even the shopping. It's a 10-minute walk to Yorkville, but because it's so close to University of Toronto and its proximity to Yorkville,
mm-hmm.
that today those units that were $425 per square foot is now selling for $1,400 per square foot, $1,500 per square foot. But and the tenant, the people that living in there, actually I live there, and I myself own three units. The tenant that's there, because it's so close to even the hospital, University of Toronto, that it appreciates so much. The unit that we're initially buying for $350 per square foot is now $1,400 per square foot.
Yeah, and I think buyers that are looking at Artform, it's so important to remind yourself that you're not moving in tomorrow.
Right.
Right. So when you think about what you're acquiring today and what it will be in the next few years, that's very important, because that's why you want to buy in a master plan community, because the commitment is there from the city and from developers to really build up that area.
Right.
Right. And so buyers in Artform today are investing at the ground level at an area that's going to see significant development in the coming years,
right.
and is going to see significant investment in development of public infrastructure and the major transit hub being the Cooksville Mobility Hub. So our occupancy is strategically aligned to be right around the same time that the mobility hub is going to be complete.
Mm-hmm.
And so whether you're going to sell your unit at completion or move into it, there's a lot of benefits of lining those two dates. So, right. The investors that have been very successful in real estate are the ones that don't look at what a neighborhood is today, but look at what it will become. And the key is to not be there too early as well. But right. That's why the master plan community, you're going to see major development. But there's no end to examples of some great areas, high desirable areas, that you can go to and say, you wouldn't believe what was here before.
Right.
Right? And it seems that you could say that about all of the areas that are very desirable today.
No
you could say 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you wouldn't believe what's here. For us, part of what's going to make that rejuvenation and the new Cooksville become established is it's part of a master plan community, right? So there's lots of development that's going to take place. But also from an Emblem perspective, we've committed to multiple buildings right in this area. So by us doing more than one building, we're actually going to accelerate the speed at which the new regentrified Cooksville is put in place, because we're not building one building and waiting for other developers to come in.
Right.
We're really going to fast track that with the buildings that we have. So our first sort of tranche will be Artform 1 and Artform 2, which will be in excess of 800 units, and that will all happen in this calendar year.
Not with compromising our interior finishes and exterior finishes. 80% of a unit is $600,000 or under. And
Right,
It's a very
yes.
attractive price and affordable
So that's a
price.
great price point, which is I really want
Combined
to see the
with
price
the-
list, how you guys managed to do that.
And also, our starting price is for a 1 bedroom plus den, and that's in the upper $400,000. We don't have 1 bedroom, we don't have studio.
That's amazing.
1 plus den.
And it's perfect for that location, I think. You don't need 1 bedrooms there. You need 1 plus dens and larger units, which is great. So thank you again for so much for having us here today, and we look forward to work with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers. Have further questions? Get in touch with us. Be the first in the city to invest into Artform condominiums. We'll explain to you in detail why Artform condominiums is a great investment opportunity. Let's make 2020 a better investment year for you.